Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you all. My name is Alexandr Denisov, and today I'm going to talk with you about Flutter. Oh, how could I forget? We are Flutter Europe conference, and every speaker is talking about Flutter today. And this is really nice. The whole conference is completely dedicated to Flutter. Thanks to organizers for doing it. Let me introduce myself. I'm senior software developer in EPAM systems and co-head of Flutter competency in our company. If you want to know more about Flutter development in EPAM, please welcome to our company's booth. Please raise your hands. Who already been there? Not a lot. Please welcome. It's right there. Okay. About myself. Okay. In addition, I'm GDG Moscow organizer. Who knows what is GDG? Not a lot. GDG is a Google developers group. It's a global community for people who likes Google technologies and uses the technologies in their work, on hobbies, and etc. And Flutter is Google technologies technology as well. And I'm really excited about building Flutter community in Russia. Okay, let's start. This is agenda of my today's talk. After a short intro, I'll describe how Flutter builds UI as opposite to native development and what issues this causes. Then I'll show what kinds of solutions exist for these issues. There are different solutions for different issues. And finally, I'll tell something about things that can help you to check how your applications looks on different devices. Okay. By the way, is there in this room anybody who hasn't tried Flutter yet and just interested? Cool. This is my first time when I'm giving a talk and ask this question and nobody raised your hands. It's cool. Okay. Just in case, to remind you, what is Flutter? Flutter is a cross-platform framework that gives opportunity to create application for iOS and for Android with the same code base written in Dart, and everything is created in Google company. But in the last year, at Google I/O conference, Google has announced Flutter for Web. And recently, in the last December, Flutter for Web has been moved from technical preview to public beta. And also, there was announced Flutter for macOS. It means Flutter is not cross-platform anymore. Flutter is multi-platform. It was promised in the last year also to us, and this is reality now. Take a look. Flutter for mobile already released, Flutter for web in public beta, Flutter for macOS in alpha, and Flutter to other kinds of desktop, and Flutter for embedded is in not going to go, I guess. By the way, this is one of my favorite memes about Flutter, but it's not actual, because first, we are talking not about me, we are talking about you. And second, Flutter is not for native mobile developers only. You can enter Flutter with any background. For example, I was a backend developer and developed microservices 2 years ago. And due to the fact that more and more developers with different backgrounds from different area becoming interested in Flutter, Flutter community is growing up every day, and this is really cool. Take a look to this graph. I taken it from StackOverflow, and I listened about one idea that graphs from StackOverflow don't show real situation, but the number of issues only. But come on, this is not true. More popularity brings more questions, and I guess we can trust to these graphs. And look, since 2018, popularity of Dart and for Flutter is growing constantly. And a lot of people trying to make something interesting with Flutter. But before starting to create something interesting, some issues need to be foreseen in advance. And let's talk about Flutter UI building issues. Take a look to this example. This is classical hello world that just shows hello mobile people text on the screen of phone. And as you can see, there is no any XML layout config file or something like this. Just Dart code, and that's all. What does it mean? It means that the same code is building UI for iOS and for Android without separation. But different devices have different screen sizes, different resolutions, different aspect ratios, and so on. And even if we take iPhones only, there will be at least 9 different devices with different screens. And what about Android? I tried to find information about how many devices with Android exist. I have found information only about 2015. There were 15,000 different devices with Android. It's hard to imagine how many devices exist now. Much more, anyway. And don't forget that almost each device has different screen orientation, portrait and landscape. All what I told before was about mobile. And as we all know, now Flutter is not cross-platform. Flutter is multi-platform. And potentially, your application can be run in the mobile, in the web, and on desktops. What does it mean? It means that the same code again is building UI for iOS, for Android, and for web, and all kinds of supported desktops. Windows, Linux, and macOS. Sorry, I haven't painted one more apple for macOS. I guess it's enough one apple for iOS and for macOS. A lot of different devices with different screen sizes, different resolutions, and the same source code. And if you want your application to look good everywhere, you have to think about in advance. For example, last year I developed an application for GDG DEVFEST. If you know what I'm talking about. If not, GDG DEVFEST is a conference organized by GDG community. Well, this is not a very big application, just main screen, list of speakers, schedule, map, and so on. And everything was fine in mobile. But after announcement of Flutter for Web, I decided to try it there. It looks not very well, I guess. Why? Because I haven't foreseen some points. For example, orientation different from portrait and high screen resolution. This is the result. It's not good. And let's talk about solutions and start from mobile platforms, iOS and Android. If you just run the same Flutter code on iOS and on Android, the UI will be almost the same, except some points that Flutter builds itself by default, depending on the platform. For example, back button. In Android, it looks like an arrow. In iOS, it looks like a bracket. And some other things, such as alignment of text and up bar, and so on. But all other elements will display the same. But what to do if you want to have material design on Android and CUPERTINO design on iOS? You can, of course, create two different applications, but why do you need Flutter then? Two different applications you can develop native. Okay, in order your UI doesn't depend on the platform, you need to include the behavior of your build inside the widget. Yes, you need adaptability. Your widget has to understand which platform is current and build itself depending on this. I can move back for you. Flutter has a huge number of widgets in widget catalog from out the box, including ready-made material design widgets. Just take and use them. And of course, also Flutter has CUPERTINO widgets there. And when you're creating your own UI, you need to determine the platform and use the appropriate widget for display. And special for this talk, I prepared a small application with speakers again. It's quite easy. There is just list of speakers and information about their talk. But I've made widgets platform adaptive. And as you can see, application looks different on iOS and on Android. Take a look to this piece of code. This is code of platform adaptive widget speakers list item that I use inside my list view. There are two different classes for list items on different platforms. CUPERTINO list item for iOS and material list item for Android. And speaker list item just determines the platform and returns appropriate widget. In case of iOS, it returns CUPERTINO list item, and in case of Android, material list item. And I just use these list items inside list view, and everything works. And don't worry about what platform is current. This is standard way to create platform adaptive widgets. Actually, there are named constructor adaptive in the Flutter that have platform adaptivity from out of the box. But it's implemented for a couple of widgets only, for switch and for slider. But you just it's enough to use this constructor, and you will have different UI on iOS and on Android. Actually, if you take a look inside the implementation of this constructor, you will see that there is the same that we did on the previous slide, but it's implemented. Why this constructor implemented only for these widgets only? I don't know. I'm not sure, but I guess it was done in order not to limit freedom of Flutter developers in implementation of platform adaptability. Why switch and slider? I don't know. Maybe, for example, or because these widgets have the same functionality, but looks very different on different platforms. I don't know. Actually, when Flutter team skips something, Flutter community comes to help. For example, this Flutter platform widgets package by Lance Johnstone from Auckland that implements platform adaptability. For example, platform widget class, in which you need just specify what widget you want to see on iOS and which in Android, and everything will work fine. It's not all. This package has implementation of platform adaptive versions for many standard widgets. If you just add platform to name of standard widgets, you will get a platform adaptive widget from this package. Thanks, Lance. This nice package. Are you here? Maybe no. No. Okay. And let's move on to other issues and talk about screen orientation. Sometimes we need to have different content in different orientation. For example, I want to show speakers list only if orientation is portrait, and navigate to speaker details screen on tab. And if orientation is landscape, I want to show speaker details and speaker list on the same screen. In Android native development, fragments were used for this. And since everything is a widget in Flutter, this task is much easier here. We have speakers list widget and speaker details widget. You need just to understand which platform is current and show only one widget or the both at once. In order to get current orientation in Flutter, there is orientation builder class. Let's take a look how it works. We can get current orientation in this class, and if orientation is portrait, we return only one speaker list widget, and if landscape, we return a row with two widgets, speaker list and speaker details. And as parameter, we provide different on-tab handler. In case of portrait orientation, we provide navigator push that navigates to separate screen with speaker details. And in case of landscape, we provide set state that just changes current widgets on speaker detail screen. And voila, everything works. And, on previous slide, I told a row with two widgets. What is row? I know that you know, but again, just in case, in order to compose simple widgets to build complex widgets and to control the location of widget at the screen, Flutter has layout builders: row, column, and stack. There are, of course, much more layout widgets, but I take arrange ones. Row displays children in horizontal array, column in a vertical array, and stack positions children relative to the edge of its box. And sometimes it's better to use different layout widgets when orientation is different, even if we don't need different functionality. Let's take, for example, speaker detail screen. I use a column in portrait orientation and a row in landscape orientation. And children are the same, but it looks differently, and it looks okay. I guess everything is clean in mobile orientation, but if we work not with mobile project, for example, and with web project, despite the fact that browser has no concept of orientation, orientation builder works fine there, as you can see. Why? We can take a look inside implementation of this widget, and if you do this, we understand. Orientation builder just compares width and height of the screen and get the current orientation this way. It means when we change size of browser, we can change orientation. For example, if width becomes more than height. And as you can see, this application works fine in browser. Brian, hello Brian. No Brian here. Okay. And actually, you can get screen size and other useful information about your screen on your own. There is special class for this media query, and you can get instance of this class everywhere from build context. And you can use, you can get screen size, orientation again, device pixel ratio, and text scale factor. And you can use this information as you want. For example, if width and height of the screen are equal and resolution is not too high, is high, it means that your application is running on the watch. In this case, it's better to use stack instead row or column. And as you can see, application works fine on watches as well. I run on my own, for example. It works okay. And if you want to your application to works good on all possible devices, you shouldn't forget one more potential issue: this active and passive UI. Please raise your hands who knows what I'm talking about. Three people. Okay, I'll describe. Let's imagine a TV and a desktop. They have the same form factor and almost the same resolution sometimes. But when you work with desktop, you sit at the table in front of it, and when you watch TV, sorry, when you watch TV, you sit at the sofa quite far from the screen, and it's obvious that they should have different UI. You can add a lot of control elements for interaction with the user to desktop version, and you need only information elements for TV versions. TV version. This is first is active UI, second is passive UI. But how to determine where is TV and where is desktop? Let's think about it. We can check the platform. There is a platform class for it that allows to determine 6 different platforms: iOS, Android, Linux, Windows, macOS, and Fuchsia. Yes, Fuchsia is there as well. How this information can help us? macOS and Windows can't be installed to TV, I guess. Okay, but it's not enough, because Linux can work on TV and on desktop. We can check resolution with media query class, but it's not a solution, because resolution can be almost the same. Okay, to be honest, unfortunately, I haven't found answer to the question how to, in 100% determine where is TV and where is desktop. But Flutter doesn't have official support of TV yet, and I hope we will have this opportunity in the future. Let's wait a little bit. By the way, in order to understand the type of device on which your application is running, we can use some solutions by the Flutter community. For example, responsive builder package by Dan Makier from South Africa, or responsive layout builder by Oleg Marchenko from Ukraine. These packages provide us possibility to determine where is mobile phone, where is a tablet, where is watch, and where is desktop. Not TV yet. I have found in Alex to-do sentence, figure out how to determine TV. Yes, Alec, if you watch it, we have the same problem. These packages actually syntactic sugar over media query class, but it's convenient. We can make more short code. And thanks to your impact. This is time to talk about screen sizes and resolutions. As I mentioned before, there are a lot of different mobile phones with different screen sizes, different resolutions, and most important, different aspect ratios. And also there are web and desktop applications where size of window can be changed in any moment. And again, if you want to your application looks good everywhere, you have to think about it. The first solution that comes to mind is media query again. If you know the real size of screen, you can calculate the size of all necessary elements. For example, design is implemented for a special kind of device, size of which we know. For example, iPhone X. We can get real screen size of it using media query, and therefore we can calculate multiplier using which we can calculate the size of any UI elements. We just need to multiple size of element from design template to this multiplier, and we get the current size. Looks good? No. This is not a good practice. I don't recommend to do this. If aspect ratio of current screen has a big difference with aspect ratio of design template, result can be not so good. For example, element can be too narrow or narrow screen, or too wide on wide screen. Yes, sometimes we can use this pattern to calculate some relative size of something, but you shouldn't use it everywhere. But what should we do with the issue? This is the solution. It's necessary to use responsive elements for your UI. And I'll tell you about some layout widgets that can help you with it. First, single child scroll view. This is the box in which your widget can be scrolled. short description. For example, if you're afraid that your widget will have not enough space on the screen, that the screen too narrow or too short, you don't need to fit your widget to the screen. You can just put it inside single child scroll view, and when your widget goes beyond the screen, it can be scrolled. Second, flexible. Flexible is the widget that controls a child of a row or a column, how this child flexes. You don't need to set fixed size to your child. You can let him fill a given space, as how in this example, the first child of column fills 1/3 of the screen, second 1/2, and third 1/6 of the screen. And doesn't matter which is a real height of the device. Extended. This widget extends a child of a row or a column, and so then it fills all available space. It's convenient. You can use it, for example, to make list item that won't be dependent on screen width. Nice widget, fractionally sized box. And this widget sizes the child to a fraction of total space. You can set the size of the box not in pixels, but in percentages. And it's nice. Finally, layout builder widget. I guess all of you know it. This widget can help you in situation when you don't know how much space do you have. And it gives a possibility to build child widget tree that can be dependent on parent widget size, because it provides parent constraints. You can get constraints and build your widget depending on this. This or this, wherever you want. This is not all of widget that can help you to build responsive UI elements. But I guess you've got the main idea. You don't need to be dependent on real size. Try to make your widget to be able build itself everywhere in any situation. And sorry, back. And everything will be okay. It's time to summarize results and make conclusions. If you want to make your UI adaptive, you need just follow 3 rules. Create your widgets as platform adaptive. Use for it responsive UI elements. And third rule, don't forget about active and passive UI if you need it. When you can understand where is TV and where is desktop. And finally, I promised to tell you a bit about some things that can help you check how your UI looks on different platforms. This is the feature that was announced on Flutter Interact conference in the last December. Multi-session debugging. It's a really nice tool that, as you can see, show you how your application looks on iOS and on Android, for example. And also it gives possibility to debug your application on more than one device in the same time. But it works in Visual Studio Code only. Even for this, I installed Visual Studio Code. I worked in Android Studio only before. But it's really nice. Visual Studio Code is a little bit faster than Android Studio, and it has multi-session debugging. By the way, who was on the Flutter Interact conference? One people. Oh, no, okay, who watched Flutter Interact conference? Much more. And if you watched it, you have to know what is this. This is Flutter Octopus. I guess it's the best multi-platform testing tool ever. And if you want to organize really multi-platform testing, you can try to build something like this at your office or at your home. Yes, really. And if you do it, immediately make a photo and upload it into social networks with hashtag Flutter Octopus. Who knows? Maybe your octopus will be more cool than original. Yes, but one more thing. If you, for example, don't want to install Visual Studio Code and make your own octopus, you can try to find something interesting in packages that built by Flutter community. For example, Flutter Device Preview by Alice Daniel from France. It's a really nice solution that gives you opportunity to check how your application will look on different devices, with different orientation, with different colors mode, and so on and so on. And you will get it on your device. You just run application, and inside your device you see one more application, as you can see here. Thanks. Always really nice package. Okay, this is the end of my story. I hope I was not so boring. Nothing special for you. If you want it, you can take, this is my Twitter and my GitHub, QR code to Twitter. And if you have questions, please welcome.
Hi, thanks for the presentation. And do you think that it is possible to build one widget tree for mobile and for web and for desktop maybe? And if it is, would you recommend it?
That's a good question. I think it's possible, but it's really depend on kind of application. And sometimes if you need an application that will work everywhere, you can make widget tree that will work everywhere. But I think it's not often case when you need to work really everywhere. Sometimes usually it's mobile or mobile and web or desktop and web, TV and desktop. Okay, thank you. If you have no more questions, and if your question will come later, you always can find me on EPAM booth. I will be there today and tomorrow. Thank you for your attention.